Aloha, everyone. It's FYLPRO Fridays again. I'm super excited with my guest today, Christal Simanski. Hey.
Hi, happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Good to see you. And you are such a
You.
busy body. So I'm glad that we were able to catch you in between your travel,
Absolutely.
business that you do. So wanted to at least give people a chance to get to know you and what you've been up to since immersion.
Oh my gosh. So I was in batch six, 2017. Absolutely high batch six. I absolutely love everyone. It's been a little bit busy. So when I was in FilPro in 2017, I was actually the delegate for the Washington, D.C. batch. And then ever since then, I've actually made a transition to Hawaii, the beautiful state of Hawaii. Love it here. I took a new job when I moved here, and then I got a promotion, and then I went to a new job as well. But even though I've moved to Hawaii, the Filipino community is just so important to me still. So I've actually took on a community role as well here. I'm the regional chair for NAFA, which is the National Association of Federation for Filipino Americans, and I absolutely love doing that in my free time. And we'll get into this a little bit more, but I've also had some projects that I've started with some fellow FilPro alumni as well. So I've been a little bit busy, but I'm glad that we're here today and we can talk. So yeah.
Yeah, no, and people may remember you. We always joke about this, about your days as a beauty pageant
Oh my God.
winner. You knew this was going to come up.
I
We
know.
always talk about it.
I love it.
It's just so funny because, again, it's such a big part of life in the Philippines,
It is.
right? And
Absolutely.
whereas it may not be taken, I guess, as seriously here in America, but it's a sport,
It really is.
right? How is that kind of translated into, how you've evolved as a person and your community
Yeah.
work? Is it pretty much where you saw yourself being at this point in your life?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me tell the story about my pageant, my very short pageant stunt. My mom, I was in Washington, D.C. I was living in Washington, D.C., very busy young professional at the time. And she calls me, and my mom's Filipino, of course. And she's like, I want you to join a beauty pageant. I'm like, Mom, I'm like really busy. I don't have time to like do it. She's like, no, like you have to do it. So when a Filipino mother guilt trips you into doing a pageant, you just do it. So I really didn't know what to expect going into that experience, but I really did genuinely love it. Going through the pageant world, the pageant industry teaches you a lot about genuine friendships with the other ladies who compete, taught me about community, and also taught me about how to fundraise, which I've all translated into my community work and even professional work, and how to work with people of all different personalities and people of different industries as well. So I really utilize my pageant skills even to today, which I absolutely love. And also, fun fact, I wear heels at work and I'm always running around. So learning how to walk.
Wow, I can't believe. Okay, so I know you can't talk too specifics about her job, but
Yeah.
so Christal does work for the Department of Defense, and so she's badass. Oh, can I say that? I don't know if
Yes.
I can say that. But yeah, no, I mean, you're around a lot of men, male-dominated
Yes.
industry world, and
Absolutely.
so coming from the pageant world to that, I mean, is it hard? Actually, I have to ask this: is it hard to be taken seriously? Do people know your background? Do people know, well, obviously you're accomplished without the pageantry, but it must be difficult to overcome stereotypes.
No, absolutely. It is. And I will say, like, I feel like ever since I've joined the federal government from the very beginning of my career, 8 years ago till now, I've always found that I've had to work like twice as hard or even three times as hard because I look different than everybody else in the room. And I do want to be taken seriously. And especially I started out so young. My first job in the federal government, I was 22, much baby face. So people tend not to take you seriously. And it was
Yeah.
a real struggle for me. And I've had many challenges and I'd love to talk to them about with you today. But I found like there are a couple of challenges that I would like to share right now with you. The first is like being a trailblazer in my career, like having to work so much harder just to get recognized. And I'm happy to share with you like 2 years ago or a year ago now, because of a lot of my work that I've done, I was recognized as the senior civilian of the year among everyone who works in that department that I was in. And I think it was over 300,000 people. And I'm very happy to be one of the few women who've won that award. I think I'm the first Filipino to win the award as well.
Wow, that's
Thank you.
awesome. Congrats.
Thank you. Thank you. I think another part of it is, how do we hold leaders accountable to their stated dedication to diversity and equality in the workforce? So what are we really doing to have a diverse and respected workforce? And then the last thing is, I think that's really important in my field, is how do we build a community for other AAPI and even Filipino leaders in government? So doing that, I think in the background of also trying to have a very successful career has been always on the forefront of my mind as well. So
Yeah, I think it's a challenge anywhere just to get our voices heard, but even more
absolutely.
so in federal government, and yeah, not just men, but like you mentioned, people of color. I mean,
Absolutely.
that must be a difficult road, but glad that you're being the trailblazer. That is what we are here at FYLPRO.
Yes.
And so that's amazing. And again, and doing it in heels.
I'm doing it in heels. It's so funny because especially when I like my colleagues around me already are used to it. So when I travel to a new location and I'm meeting new colleagues that you only talk over the phone and they see me in heels, they're like, "Can you handle that?" I'm like, "I got a 3-mile radius. I'm fine."
I know. And you do travel a lot internationally for your job. And so how is that? Obviously during the pandemic, we were all, grounded. Now
Yes.
you're going to, countries in Asia, and a lot of them are still dealing with the pandemic. How has that been? How has that transition been from, being stuck, at home and now
Yeah.
back to travel?
It's funny because I feel like during when the pandemic was at its height, I had serious cabin fever. And I was like, oh, I can't wait till like things come back to normal. And I'm kind of like eating my words right now because I'm always out. I'm out for like 2 weeks at a time. I'm 2 weeks home, 2 weeks out. But the other countries right now, I think they're still really dealing with the pandemic. Here in Hawaii, we've already moved from away from masks. We stopped checking COVID vaccine cards at restaurants, but over there in Asia, they still take it very seriously, as they should. So just being able to go into the countries and meet people, I think, is the step in the right direction, but doing it carefully. So really grateful to all the countries that have been hosting us. So, and very just blessed to be able to travel right now as well.
Yeah, and representing our government. So
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
an important job, especially, and
Yes.
you're used to it, being an ambassador, So yeah, that really did translate well from all of your experience. And I think a lot of us Pinais can relate to the mom that's like, you should go compete and be part of it. And but I'm glad that you did. I mean, I was like, hell no, no.
Yeah, no, no.
But
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's great. It's great to see that. And so you mentioned that you are actually working on community projects with
Yes.
fellow members. So tell us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Joyce King, who was the last batch before COVID happened, me and her connected, and we had the similar kind of like mindset of what we really wanted our legacy project to be, which was combating human trafficking in the Philippines, specifically countering human trafficking of children who were being traded online to do sex acts. So we actually partnered together. We just opened a new NGO called Project Ligas Bata, which is kind of like Project Safe Child. We are partnering with the International Justice Mission, their field office in Manila. We haven't formally launched or announced yet. We are going to do it at the FYLPRO reunion in
Oh,
DC.
but we got the breaking news.
Yeah, you guys got the breaking news. So we're so
That's
excited.
awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited for it. So we've been working really hard to just kind of get everything together and fundraise for it. So if I get to see any of my FYLPRO alumni in DC, please do come. We're going to make this a huge announcement about our legacy project. We're very excited to share it with all of you.
Was this
Yeah.
your project when you were in the immersion?
Yes, this was my project. So we just kind of
Oh,
like
okay.
put our two brains together. It's like, how do we work together? How do we work together and smarter on this?
Yeah. Was it her project also? So you both had the
Yeah.
same theme?
So we both had the same theme, and we definitely didn't
Ah,
want to duplicate efforts. We wanted to see
yes.
how can we work together to combat this very serious problem. And then we were also able to loop in Christal Canary, who is another FYLPRO alumni who I absolutely adore. She's part of our board as well. And we have a couple of other members in the Filipino community in the Washington, D.C. area.
That's
who are part of our
awesome.
board. So very excited. And I can't wait to actually do the formal launch in July. So
yes. And so for anyone out there listening, it will be, when is that? End of July, right? In
it is the
DC?
end of July in Washington, D.C. Yes.
Yeah, that's going to be amazing. I can't go. I have to work.
Oh no.
I'll be there in spirit. Hopefully
Can we zoom in?
I know. That's what I was thinking. I think you guys will have a virtual element, because I think there's some of us who would like to tune in or at least catch up on it later on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully you guys can record it. I know in this day and age, if that taught us anything, we could do things virtually. So I'm excited and proud of you guys of that great work. And I think us being from Hawaii, it's such an issue here, right? Sex trafficking.
Absolutely.
There was that whole scandal with the Philippine church. There was one of those churches, Kiboloy, or I can't remember, is that his name? But they were using, in some cases, there was some women that were using it as a front, right, to bring women here. And so that, and that happens throughout the country, throughout the world. And so that's such a great cause. I'm so glad that you guys are doing it. And tell me how I can help. I mean, I'd love to promote it and, talk about it. When I was in the Philippines covering whatever issues that we all have over there, that was definitely a big problem. And it was so overwhelming for the nonprofits that were on the ground. So that's great. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. And are you working on anything else aside from that? I mean, you have so much on your plate already. So
I am a busy bee. No, I think that's it. So doing work with NAFA, which is the other organization that I'm part of.
What's happening with that?
So NAFA is a great organization. One of their main efforts is to just register people to vote. We do this every year. We try to make sure that especially Filipinos and the Filipino community is registered to vote. We are 4 million strong now. So it is very important to have your voice represented, get registered to vote. They have all materials in all the different dialects in Filipino. So not just Tagalog, they have an Ilocano and Bisaya and other materials. So it's fully diverse. And so making sure our population, their voice is represented, not just in federal, but state and local. It is so important just to go out there and vote. So that's always what I love to say when I talk about NAFA.
Yeah, that's great. Who is the director now? It used to be Brandon, I think. Right?
It's still Brendan.
Oh, Brendan. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Is he still?
Yes.
Okay. He's not FYLPRO, is he?
No, he's not FYLPRO, but
I feel like he's part of the Ohana.
Part of our group. We've adopted him. So he's in our group already. Yeah.
Okay. So he's still with NAB. Okay. I remember working with them a few times. So I don't know. Do they have events or things here in Hawaii?
Well, usually because Hawaii is already a very diverse Filipino community, usually what I do is I just try to support other initiatives as the chair. No separate events, but we probably want to do a conference here sometime. Everybody wants to come out to Hawaii. So hopefully we can do that in the future.
That would be great. I think the discussion about getting the vote out, like you said, we are on the better side. We're the leaders actually in terms of getting people in office and bringing that mindset of change. But I don't know if it's working on the mainland, right? I don't know if we're seeing that translate.
No, I think every time the mainland NAFA reaches out to me, they ask me like, oh, can we please get all the list of everyone in state government who's been elected? And I'm like, it's like a lot of people. And it's when you look at their national list, it's like all of it is like at least 60%, 70% Hawaii. And so it would be great to kind of develop a program here that we can share nationwide, about civic action, civic leadership, how to be involved, and give it a very specific how we are so successful here in Hawaii to get Filipino representation.
Yeah, no, that would be great. I think each state is so different, right, in terms of how they do their elections also. So I think part of it is that challenge. And like New York, I was talking to who was it in New York who was running? I'm blanking now.
Stephen Raga.
Yes, it's Stephen Raga. Yeah, he was telling me about just how difficult it is, even though there's a large Filipino population, especially for his district in Woodside. just getting people to vote in the primaries, it's just so difficult.
It is. It's so challenging.
Yeah. So anyway, with all of the stuff that you're doing, how do you keep mentally healthy? I guess, we talk about just kind of maintaining that balance, right? Because obviously you're go, go, go. But in the end, you have to take care of yourself.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
how are you doing that?
So going back to it, like I will say, I'm not immune to burnout. I'm not immune to stress. Some days I put in 12-hour days. Sometimes I put in 16-hour days. So it really does eat me sometimes. And so I found that if I can take some time to myself, whether it's doing yoga, meditation is very important. And also just, I'm a little bit introverted sometimes. So sometimes I take self vacation.
You are introverted? I would not have
Sometimes
known
I'm introverted,
that. Oh, okay,
just a little bit.
Okay.
So yeah. So after I do like a really long trip, I try to take some time off. So I'm actually going to Bali as well in June.
Ooh.
Just to like do some like yoga and eat good food. That's my plan. So I think it is really
I miss
important.
Indonesian food. They have some
Delicious.
amazing stuff.
So delicious.
My favorite is rendang. Do you like rendang?
All good.
Oh,
Yes.
that's Malaysia too. Anyway, so go ahead.
Yeah,
I started off on my
all the
gosh,
food. I'm always thinking about food too.
Yeah.
No, so it is important also like to advocate for yourself, like, hey, like I'm feeling burned out. And that's totally okay to share with your supervisor or someone you work with, and then say, like, I need to take some time off for me. And mental health is just as important as physical health. We see doctors all the time for if something is hurting physically, like we should take care of what goes on in our head as well. And so I'm a really big advocate for that as well. Just making sure I take care of myself as well. Otherwise, you won't be successful, you'll burn out, and then where are you going to go from there? So
yeah, I think that's a good, well, that was a one good byproduct of the whole pandemic. I think it normalized talking about, burnout. And now you see that a lot of people are just leaving jobs that didn't make them happy, or, changing their lifestyle to find happiness, right? Because they realize life is too short. So, but that said, I mean, going forward, what's next for you? We talk about 10-year anniversary of FYLPRO and where we want the organization to be. And it sounds like obviously you're really working on the project that you went into, really proposing and getting that off the ground. And, I think what's ahead for you, and where do you see our organization going?
So for FYLPRO, I will hope that, not only we offer the immersion experience to people, but we become an organization that offers several resources to people who aspire to become leaders and trailblazers in their respective communities. And also we fellow alumni offer our mentorship to young leaders, because I think that's something that I've struggled with throughout my career, is finding mentors who look like me, who sound like me, who've gone through similar experiences. And so I would hope that FYLPRO, I mean, we kind of already do, but we do it to a more extent. And I hope that, we just become an organization that has several resources that people can come to us, and that we actually become a really great international organization, not just here in the United States and the Philippines, but we expand out to the rest of the globe to include Europe, other parts of Asia where we might be, then South America as well, where the Filipino or Kababayan might be. I really hope that for FYLPRO in the next 10 years. So yeah.
And for you?
Oh, for me, oh my gosh. I'm so busy, so I live by day by day.
I was going to say, if you were to put an ask out of, so this is like another thing I do with everyone, is like, if you had to tell the universe or put it out in the universe, for something that you feel would help you or push you further, right? What would that be?
Well, I would hope probably in 10 years from now, I definitely would be more on the top of my organization. Hopefully I would be an executive, so that I can actually, help it grow, make sure that I'm holding myself accountable to the standards of dedication to fairness, equality, diversity in the workplace. I hope that I would be at relatively executive at that point to help build the community, everything I said earlier. So I'll put that out there. Hopefully in 10 years from now, if we ever chat again, I'll be like, yeah, I'm an executive.
Yeah, well, and I love that, because again, it really holds us accountable for our goals, right? Like,
Absolutely.
what do we really want for ourselves? And then it could change. I mean, it doesn't mean that your priorities would eventually change over the years. Things happen. So, but it's nice to always get a check on where we are at a certain point.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we have these videos, so we can always replay them and be like, remember what
absolutely.
you said.
Oh my gosh. Ah.
And that's good. It's part of the journey. But it's always good to see you, Chris. I'm so glad that we
Oh,
got to catch you before you traveled
yeah. Oh my
back
gosh.
on
You're
the
lucky.
road.
A lot of people don't. So you're really lucky to get me before I travel again. So
I know. Real world, real quick. What are some of the travel tips you have, since you're one of those common fast travelers?
okay. So I really used to hate neck pillows actually, but now I love them. I get like the memory foam ones and I'm able just to pass out because before I'd
Mhm.
be awake. It's annoying because then when I land, I actually start working as soon as I land.
Are
So
you
getting
dressed ready to work, or do you change at the
sometimes
airport?
it just depends. Sometimes
Mhm.
I have like a suit top, so I just put on a blazer and then
Mhm.
I'll put on a pair of heels and then I'll walk out ready for people to meet me. It just depends on the time of day that I'm landing as well,
Okay.
and who I'm traveling with. So if I'm traveling with other executives, I'm usually already dressed and ready to
Mhm.
go. If I'm traveling by myself, it's more like Lululemon kind of day with a
Okay, yeah. You got to be
um,
comfy.
you gotta be comfy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just make sure that you're really organized because especially when you're traveling to other countries right now, especially with the pandemic, they're checking for 2 million documents. So just make it all organized, easier for their immigration to process you. And I think that's about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's it's always a good reminder, to be organized anywhere
Oh,
you go. So,
one
oh,
last thing.
what is
Yeah.
it?
Always try to arrive on an empty stomach so that you can eat a lot of their food when you
I know you don't want airplane food anyway,
arrive.
right? It doesn't
No.
really compare, but I don't know. Sometimes I worry that it'll take a long time to get food, so I wouldn't want to be hangry. So
Just a little bit though, just snack a little bit and then arrive a little hungry because in the food, hunger is the best spice. So
ah,
yeah.
I haven't heard that. Okay.
So I think everything tastes better when you're hungry. So yeah.
Well, good luck with your next set of trips that you're
Thank
off to.
you.
It was good to
Thank
catch
you.
up,
Oh,
and
catch up with you too.
yeah, be safe. Be safe
Thank
out
you.
there. It's a
Thank
crazy
you.
world, but we're rooting for you, and
Oh, thanks.
blaze that trail for us.
We'll do so. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Crystal. Appreciate
Bye.
you.